everyone. Mike Kruger from Weather NorCal. Thank you so much for watching. We have got Adrian from Turtle Bay, and this is another edition of Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. And in the name Turtle Bay, we've got a turtle.
We have a turtle.
One of the things that prompted you to bring out, doesn't have a name, but you call it purple dot, right? Because of the dots on here.
We identify them with some purple.
We were talking about how warm it's been
That's right.
over the last week. And I was out for a run. I'm hearing more rustling in the leaves because there may be lizards, right? So you were telling me that even in the winter, usually they're pretty docile, but when it starts to warm up, even if it gets into like 60s or just enough sunshine.
We had 74 degrees the other day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this would lead us to believe. So how does that all work?
Okay, well, turtles are a reptile.
Yes.
And the thing about reptiles that makes them unique is they are ectothermic. That's a big word, right?
These fancy terms.
We call it cold-blooded. That's not the most accurate term because they're not always
People
cold.
call me that a lot sometimes.
But, I mean, they call me that too. But what that basically means is his internal temperature is going to be the same temperature as the air around them.
Okay.
So on the 74-degree day, guess what they were doing?
Ooh,
they were basking, sitting out in that beautiful sunshine that we had in the 74-degree weather.
Just like I was doing.
Right. I mean, me too. That was a very nice day. It was an
Yeah.
enjoyable day. I was out washing my car and doing all sorts of fun stuff. So these guys, though, since they're temperature dependent, what do they do when it gets cold?
Well, I can see he kind of burrows up in his shell
That's
there.
right.
And,
He's like, I'm not moving. Because as they get colder and colder, the metabolism slows down. They can't eat when it's cold. So even though it was 74 degrees the other day, it's still getting really cold at night. So they're coming out to warm up a little bit, but they're not going to be eating very much until it actually is consistently warm outside. They're not going to be moving around too much. They have just enough energy to get out of the water onto that rock to sit in the sun, to warm themselves up enough so they can just sit and absorb some of that UV ray. UV ray is incredibly important for turtles and a lot of reptiles. It's important for their bone health, for their shell health, and guess what, Mike? It's important for our health too with that vitamin D3.
Oh yeah, right?
Vitamin D makes you healthier. Sunshine can be good for you as long as you take care of yourself in it, right? But reptiles are actually very dependent on that sunshine, and that's actually one of the problems in human care when people have turtles as pets. They don't provide UV light. So that's one of the reasons they come out to bask, is to get that UV light so they can keep their shells and their bones healthy. Now, as he warms up, he's going to be able to move around a lot more. So we just took him out of the water. It was about 38 degrees.
Wow.
Usually when I test it in the wintertime, it's about 38 degrees in there. And the cool thing about a lot of pond turtles that live in the colder climates, they're adapted to actually stay under that water, in the cold water, sometimes for months at a time.
Wow.
So if we hadn't have had these warm days coming out, if it wasn't getting over like 55 or 60 and it wasn't sunny, they would be staying under the water. We wouldn't see them all winter. Wow. Sometimes we don't see any of our turtles all winter until about April-ish they start
probably
popping
start
out.
missing them.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know I do.
you.
I'm wondering if they're okay down there.
Yeah.
But that is called brumation. Reptiles brumate when it's cold. And that brumation is completely temperature dependent.
Okay.
So those lizards you heard rustling around, they came out from their little burrows. They're underneath the leaves. Leaves are important for a lot of reptiles and animals in the wintertime to help to insulate them in those cold nights. They came out, it was warm enough, it was active enough. Some of those little lizards have a little faster metabolism when it's warm like that, so they might have chowed down on some bugs. That's probably what they were doing, rustling around in the leaves. But we'll see them on those nice warm days. And of course, in the summertime, they're going to be much more active every single day. And it's warmer at night, so they're not going to have to sit and warm up as fast. And when we get to the rattlesnake season, we talk about rattlesnakes.
Yes, of course. You were talking about a fun fact. They breathe from their behind quarters.
That's right. So what allows them to actually stay underwater for so long? Can you hold your breath for 4 months?
No, but I can breathe through my behind quarters and stay underwater longer, apparently.
So there's several species of pond turtles that have actually adapted to absorb oxygen from the water through their cloaca. Their cloaca is where everything comes out. It's the membrane just under there where their feces comes out. They lay their eggs. It's all one place where it all comes out. And so they have that skin around there that's actually able to absorb oxygen through the water. And it gives them just enough oxygen to survive in those cold winter months. And of course, colder water is actually more oxygenated than warm water.
Fun fact. We've got so many fun facts here at Turtle Bay. We could go on forever.
We could go on forever about reptiles.
But I certainly appreciate you. I appreciate this guy here who's still kind of like, it's kind of cool. But I can see his little nose peeking out there.
Are you ever out there on those cold mornings and you're like, my joints hurt and I can't move very well? imagine being like that, but they're just adapted to
Okay.
just not be able to move as well.
Very fun, very cool. Well, thank you, Adrian, for such great information here. So there you have it. If you saw last week when it was warmer, the last couple weeks really, and you saw more reptiles roaming around, now you know why. So very interesting facts that we learned here on another edition of Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals.